listening to Spectrum on Air, the colourful voice of radio.
All new shows to listen to on Spectrum on Air. Reggae. Ooh, yeah. Rock and roll jukebox.
Well, it's one for the money, two for the show, three to get ready. Now go, cat, but don't you step on my blue shoe.
And country gold. All new shows on Spectrum on Air. Visit our website on spectrumonair.com or listen on Mixcloud Live.
Don't forget, you can listen to this radio station on the Get Me Radio platform. Download the Get Me Radio app and listen on your Android or Apple mobile phone, and a whole range of TV apps such as Roku, Fire, Android and Apple TV. You can also listen on Alexa and Google Home devices. Just search for Get Me Radio. Download the apps and listen to this radio station on your favourite devices.
Why not come with me, Tony Ingledow, on a journey in my time tunnel? Broadcast every Monday between 2 and 3 p.m. on Spectrum on Air. I'll be taking a trip down memory lane, playing music from the late 60s through to the 80s. Indulge yourself in some nostalgia and let us go back in time together. That's Tony's Time Tunnel every Monday between 2 and 3 p.m. on Spectrum on Air, the colourful voice of radio. I hope that's a date. Don't be late.
Having trouble advertising your act? Need more exposure without breaking the bank? Here at CJC Promotions, we believe that teamwork, bonding and having fun go hand in hand with promoting your work. We believe in artists getting the exposure they deserve without experiencing the stressful side of social media and advertising. With contacts worldwide covering a multidisciplined media environment, we can target your talent so you gain the experience without the consequence of wasted time in unproductive ventures. So, if you are serious about getting your talent out there, just contact Catherine at cjcpromotions.co.uk. That's Catherine at cjcpromotions.co.uk. And remember, our aim is to nurture your talent, not exploit it.
You are listening to Spectrum on Air, the colourful voice of radio.
I'm Barry.
I'm Bob Bluffield.
I'm Alan Mallion. Together we are
the Grumpy Old Men.
Every Saturday morning between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Only on Spectrum on Air. Often controversial, sometimes fun, but never dull. Grumpy Old Men bring you their slant on world events and current affairs. 8 to 10 Saturday mornings. And a very warm welcome to the Grumpies on Spec on a Saturday morning here on Spectrum on Air, the colourful voice of radio. And this is a warning for you. The show contains free speech from the presenters, which may upset or offend, and probably will offend. But good morning, men. That is Alan and Bob. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. Good morning. How are we this morning?
Very well, thank you.
Sunlight coming in my window.
Good morning. Good morning, gentlemen and listeners.
And good morning, Terry, and good morning, Tony, as well. My word, Tony Ingledow, you're up early this morning, aren't you? Must be getting ready for his shows, I suppose, because like us, he puts a lot of preparation to them, you know, so there we go. Right, we're going to kick off this morning, I think, with Sir Keir Starmer. I mean, the Conservative, the Labour Prime Minister.
Yes, Steer Karma.
Do you not think that Labour is turning to be more like the Tories?
What Labour's turning into, I think, I lost for words, really. They're terrible. And you see Starmer's putting out threats to Putin this morning, isn't he?
Well, he's holding a virtual meeting this morning with loads of heads of this, that, and the next thing. And yes, he's threatening Putin? Isn't he a brave boy?
I imagine
think
Putin
he's
is actually sitting in the Kremlin, actually shaking like a leaf. As a
must
of
be.
the headlines in the newspapers this morning.
He must be.
Yeah, I think he must be terrified. I mean, imagine Keith Starmer saying, "You've got to do better."
I think he's rocking the boat a little bit, don't you?
No.
Yeah.
No? What do you think,
No, I
Mike?
think he's expressing the will of the European community.
Well, I don't think it is. I mean, the Italians are pulling out, aren't they?
You know who's pulling his strings?
Yeah, Trump.
Yeah, Trump. That's right.
Yeah, of course he is. He's pandering to him. He's like his little lapdog, isn't he?
Yeah.
You can see that in his face and his expressions.
Yeah.
Not the first British Prime Minister to have done that to an American Prime Minister.
American Prime Minister.
President.
Good morning, plain talking as well. Plain talking.
I'm trying to get back on there. I can't get my blooming...
Just make sure that we're on air, so... Sorry, what are you saying, Bob?
I said I can't get my chat. It's disappeared. On
that's a shame. Brisbane girls, come on. Good morning. Good day. That's it. Oh, evening as well. Good evening there down in Australia.
Good evening in Australia.
Yeah, I hope they've had some pretty bad time with the flooding there. Darren's been there with the old vacs, the wet vacs.
Yeah.
Siphoning out his basement, I presume. They live on a hill, which
well,
somewhat protects them, but they've had pretty bad times there.
Hopefully they're okay now, So,
yeah.
Mr. Trump, I mean, again, he's putting he said on a broadcast that this peace in the middle in Russia and Kyiv and all the rest of it is all down here. If Trump hadn't started it all, I mean, he's patting himself on the back, isn't he?
Well, of course he is.
He's I don't know what the word for it is.
He's a megalomaniac. He's narcissistic.
Yeah. Oh, it's another Mike Barry then.
Well, a bit like that. So you don't have so much power.
He went to the Mike Barry School of Diplomacy.
Wow.
Or was that Ballstall?
Yeah. I will laugh at that rather than get annoyed.
Oh, that's a pity.
Yeah. Well, there'll be enough to get annoyed about this morning as well.
Oh,
I mean, what about this business of this ship that the two ships that crashed in the North Sea?
Well, I think there's a little bit of suspicion going on there, don't you?
Well, they've detained the captain again.
Charged him.
Well, they charged him, but he's
charged him
up in front of the magistrates this morning.
Oh, right.
No doubt another paid for interpreter.
And negligence.
Yeah, but how can a ship go full speed like that into an oil tanker if it wasn't deliberate?
Well, that is
either deliberate or he quite literally took his eye off the ball.
Well, yeah, I know, but it wasn't in the shipping lanes, was it? It was anchored.
Yeah. Apparently, it's the same path that he's taken before. There's all sorts of stuff going around about it.
Well, they're trying to say that the ship was unfit to sail, aren't they?
Well,
good morning, Wobsy.
Again, I've heard different stories on that. There was a guy that said, look, technically there was some faults with the ship, but if it had been deemed unfit to sail, it wouldn't have been allowed to sail.
Yeah, that's right.
It was like an MOT where you get...
Yeah, but it depends if they checked it or not, doesn't it?
Yeah, but apparently he said the things that they failed on were the equivalent of an advisory on an MOT as opposed to a failure.
Yeah.
So,
excuse me, fiddling. I'm trying to re-establish my connections here.
We don't know what's going on with this. Again, it's another. We've been kept in the dark about what. The charge is negligence, but why was he negligent? What was he doing? Was he drunk on duty?
That is.
Yeah, but I like to hear Bob's conspiracy theories.
Well, when I first heard it, I just thought that they got autopilots on these boats, these ships, not boats, ships. So what was going on there? Either it was faulty, which is now certainly pretty likely. But I mean, he was going pretty fast, apparently, flat out. Which is a very fast ship. He's enough to do a great deal of damage. Or did he know that was a US ship with US military on board?
Oh well,
with aviation grade A fuel.
That's the conspiracy theory, isn't it?
Yeah. It just seems a bit contrite to me.
Was he a Russian agent?
Well, I don't know about agent, but
I don't know.
And they still haven't found the missing person, have they? I mean, could it be somebody had done it and got off board before it hit?
Well,
Because they're saying this guy drowned, but we don't know that, do we?
Nobody found.
No.
Well,
which is not, not beyond the realms of possibility, is it? But he'll probably be, if he is in the sea, he'll probably be swept up in a week or so, probably, depending on the tides.
Well, Willie, was he still on board?
Well, was he still on board or did he get away? Did he get off? Was he lifted off the ship?
Yeah.
It was in daylight. It was in daylight as well, wasn't it? It wasn't night time.
If he jumped the ship, I mean, he would have, he'd have had to have a boat or something to pick him up. There was nothing like that. So,
well, not that you know of, unless they're not saying.
Well, I don't know.
He could have been picked up by a Russian submarine.
He could have been picked up. He could have been, had water gear on and just waited for something to pick up after the crash occurred. Nobody paid a lot of attention to it because there's a lot of boats about at that time trying to tackle the fire.
Oh, you've got some lovely conspiracy theories, haven't you?
Well, that's what I'm writing.
You ever thought to write in a book?
No.
No?
No.
Terry says that ships normally collide with bridges.
That's true.
Yeah, but that's only in America.
Only in America.
The Gulf of America, isn't it?
Where was that? Cleveland, wasn't it, or somewhere?
What?
I think it was Cleveland, wasn't it, that happened?
Oh, I can't remember now.
San Francisco.
Was it San Francisco?
No, it wasn't San Francisco.
No, you got to wear flowers in your hair there.
All right, where was it then? Look it up and find out.
I thought it was Cleveland.
Huh?
I thought it was Cleveland.
I don't know. I know nothing.
Where did the boat hit bridge?
In America.
Yeah, the question, isn't it? Where in America did that boat hit the bridge?
A boat hit the bridge. It's a ship. Anyway, carrying on while he's...
Yes, carry on while he's doing that. The fact that one of the national newspapers in the week has a headline, as Bulgarian espionage cell is convicted of plotting honey traps and kidnaps for Moscow, police warn of surge in Russian activity. And the main headline says, how many more Putin spies in the UK?
I should say it's hundreds.
That's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah, I imagine we've got just as many over there.
Yeah?
But I like the fact it was the base for all this was Great Yarmouth, of all places, the spy centre of the world,
Is it?
Yeah, they had a safe house there, didn't they, where they were operating from.
Oh. I didn't realise that.
But we don't know the half of what goes on, do we? This is the problem. I mean, we don't know anything that goes on these days, I don't think.
No?
No.
I was thinking about the Southport, changing the subject slightly. I was thinking about the Southport business, the killing of the little girls in Southport. How come, if you're mixing rice in your bedroom, how come the father didn't know anything about it?
And kids do stuff in their bedrooms.
Oh, come on, Alan. If you saw the pictures of it, there's bottles of stuff everywhere. If it was your son, would you think, what on earth are you doing in there? I think he was complacent. I think he was wrong with it.
He certainly knew his son had problems.
Well, of course he did.
But
was he aided and abetting him? Because, rumour has it who his father was, or what his father was in Rwanda.
Well, nobody knows. By the way, that bridge was the Francis Scott bridge in Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, that's it. Yeah, Baltimore.
Baltimore, yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, Baltimore. No, you said San Francisco, Mike. It's completely opposite side of the country.
I know.
I can't hide my light this morning. It's so bright.
Oh, you're having right problems this morning.
You're having right problems, aren't you?
Yeah, I've got a window right to my right-hand side at 1 o'clock, and the sun is quite high this morning. I've got a deflector up there, but it's getting over the top of it. I can't get it any higher.
Good Lord. Always moaning, isn't he, Alan?
Oh.
Yeah. Brisbane girls saying the baddies always get away like that.
Yeah.
The movies.
Yeah.
Only in the movies, Robert. Yeah, that's right. But, I mean, there's a situation of spies. I mean, I think we've got to worry more, not of the Russian spies, but of the secret armies that are coming across in the boats.
Yeah, I think this is big time too.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. We don't know who's coming over. A lot of them are Afghanis, aren't they?
Yeah.
And you look at the crime figures that have just been released last week about who's committed the most, particularly sex crimes, and they're Afghanistanis, and Albanians. Albanians are more involved with the drug trade.
Yeah.
Well, I thought they sent all the Albanians back, but they should have come back again when they suits them.
Well, of course they do.
I'd like to know why as well. We spent 1.5 million pounds, I think, on a fleet of vehicles for the Albanian prison service.
Yeah.
Can't they buy their own vehicles?
Yeah, what is all that about?
I really don't know.
Anyway, we're jumping around a bit this morning. Going back to Putin, there's quite a lot of local newspapers say that actually he's using honey traps at the moment in the UK.
Yeah, well, that's nothing new, is it? He's done that all the time. He's always done.
Well,
that.
I reckon that's how he's got one over Trump.
Well, there's meant to be this report, isn't there? They filmed him in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Moscow before he was president, when he was on a business trip with these two girls, didn't they?
Yeah,
allegedly.
But
there is, there's very, very strong evidence of that, because there was a guy who was a former station head of MI5. I can't remember his name now. Once he retired from MI5, he set up a private investigation company, which works for quite a few governments. And he investigated this and drew up a dossier of it. And there is video of this. Hello, Alan's gone.
I'm here.
Oh yeah, but this is how they operate. I mean, you go back to, say, the Profumo affair and all that. This is all honey trap business, wasn't it?
I think that was a bit more just dirty old men, personally.
Yeah, but they planted, Christine Keeler and that, wouldn't it? With
yeah, but I think the Profumo affair, I think it was pretty straightforward that they were just a couple of dirty old men.
Well, they were, but there was Russians involved, so it was pillow talk, wasn't it? This is what the
that's what the British security services were concerned about.
Yeah,
at the time, they thought there might have been loose talk, but there's no actual evidence that Christine Keeler had anything to do with the Russians. That was thoroughly investigated at the time, I seem to remember.
Well, she was with Stephen.
But then she would say that, wouldn't she?
Friend of Stephen Walls, wasn't it?
You've got a very good memory, Mr. Mallion, because I mean that was what, 1960
something,
something like that.
Yeah, I just remember it.
They met, her and Mandy Rice Davis met the Russian attaché at the house of Lord Astor, which is down in Marlow.
Yeah,
which is down. I think it's down the hotel down there, isn't it? Tina might know because she's there from her area. I can't remember the name of the hotel now. Not Lansbury, that was in London. Yeah, come to me in a minute, probably.
I liked Mandy Rice Davis. I thought she was pretty good.
I did. Christine Keeler was that good looking, was she?
No, but Mandy Rice Davis was. But then I would say that, wouldn't I?
Why?
Well, that's a famous saying. He would say that, wouldn't he?
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
Well, the sun's moving around a bit now, no, it's worse.
But moving back across the water to our White House, Iran was told in the week by Donald Trump to negotiate a new nuclear war deal, or we will have to do something.
Yeah.
The president said that he'd written to the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Kamal Memel, pressing for talks on preventing the development of atomic weapons. There will be some interesting days ahead with Iran, Mr. Trump told a press conference in the Oval Office. So he's sticking his nose in there now, isn't he?
Yeah, well, didn't Biden give them the capabilities? He gave them nuclear materials, didn't he?
Yeah.
As far as
he gave them the go-ahead to do peaceful research, for scientific reasons and generation of fuel and all that sort of stuff. There were a lot of sanctions that he sort of released a little bit.
Yeah, you see, we're all talking about the main players, aren't we? Russia, America, China, etc. But how do we know that Iran and North Korea are not going to come in the back door and start trouble? I think that's highly likely. So what's Trump going to do? I mean, he's claiming he's going to invade Greenland, isn't he? Well, that's going to bring Europe into it because it's Danish. It's a Danish protectorate, isn't it? So what do? Do we side with our close allies, which I don't think we are particularly close with anymore, courtesy of Lammy?
I did read a story about Iran in the week where they're using drones and phones to monitor the dress code of women.
Yeah, that's right.
How ridiculous is that?
Well, women have got to go out fully naked now, haven't they? I mean, Iran used to be one of the most free of the Muslim states until the Ayatollahs took hold.
Yeah,
and now women are worth nothing, and they've got to cover up the entire time.
Which is, I mean, there's got to be something like in the Muslim Arab sort of character. I mean, perhaps they've all got slightly underperforming bits.
They've got entirely no respect for women whatsoever, have they?
No, well, I think they're intimidated by women.
Could be.
I think they're scared of women because they don't want to educate them because they turn out to be a lot smarter.
Did you see? I mean, a few months ago now, a girl stripped off into her underwear and walked about the Tehran.
Yeah,
took her burqa off and walked about, and she was quickly arrested by the sort of secret police, or what they call themselves over there.
Modesty police, or
the National Guard, or I don't know,
but they're sick little old men.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Quran and whatever, and the history of it all, they want to do the caliphate, don't they? They want to take over the world.
Yeah,
and I think we're helping and aiding and abetting them in great steps these days.
Why don't we appreciate that other countries have different customs, religions, and thoughts and ideas and things like that, and let them get on with it? I mean, it's nothing to do with...
Well, the reason is because they bring it to your country.
But, I mean, you made that statement about, being afraid of women, well...
No, Alan made that.
Afraid of women.
Alan said that.
Yeah, I said that.
Well...
Get your facts right, Mr. Barry.
Yeah, go on. What are you going to say, Mike?
No, I mean, again, it's this business that we're pushing our nose into other people's lives and that. It's got nothing to do with us.
Well, we've always done that.
It's like saying, well, I mean, we got to stop eating pork, and all this sort of thing. I mean,
who says that?
Yeah, but it's a globalization.
Other countries don't eat pork.
Yeah, that's fine. Nobody's concerned about eating pork, but. They're bringing their customs here and not accepting our way of life. And this is the problem. Not just here, but America, the whole of Europe.
There was a case a couple of years ago where there was two young lads walking around Luton and, sort of having a right poke at girls that weren't dressed like in the appropriate attire.
Yeah, well, that was done.
Arrested.
Yeah, well, that was that reporter with the reddish sort of hair, gingery hair. Can't remember her name now. She did a program on it, and she was being almost physically assaulted by them in the middle of Luton.
Yeah,
no. The thing is, why can't people just accept other people, like you say, Mike? Other people have got their own standards, their own way of life, and get on in peace. But they can't, can they? I mean. You've also had some desperate leader rattling the swords, haven't you?
Each country and that has got their own, do-gooders, and the do-gooders from whichever country it is. And I mean, I include England as well. They're all saying, "Oh, they shouldn't do this, they shouldn't do that," and all the rest of it. No, get your nose out of it. The world is too nosy. We should live in peace, but we can't. And the big question mark there really is, why can't we live in peace?
Because there's too many idealists.
I mean, you've got Trump talking about millions of people have died over the Ukraine war. Well, millions of people haven't died.
It's not millions, is it?
There's been an awful lot of people, but not millions.
Yeah.
And he's saying that millions more will die, Well,
I mean, what was she was putting out yesterday about Kursk was surrounded by Russian troops and they've got, and they're just holding back before wiping out, thousands of Ukrainian military.
Yeah.
I mean, but that surely was fake news, to quote him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it's dangerous.
According to the Ukrainians, it's complete fabrication.
Yeah, well, I think it was. I mean, I I thought when Trump came back here, we were going to see a new Trump, but I think we've seen a far worse Trump.
Yeah, I agree with you. He has got no concept of reality.
You don't know what
he just tells whatever lies that come into his head. Almost everything he said has been disproved.
Yeah. The thing is, you don't know what he's going to do next because he changes his mind like he changes his underwear.
Yeah.
Well, he's turned into God, hasn't he? He's sitting up there in the Oval Office and he's going, I think that's a good idea. We'll implement that now. It's like the presidency is a new toy for him. It's like a child with a new toy.
Yeah, well, look at these tariffs, for example. What it can only backfire on him, surely.
Well, even Elon Musk is now saying, hang on.
Because people aren't going to buy American goods, are they? Whereas the Canadians are taking everything off the shelves, haven't they?
Well, Elon Musk is, Tesla is losing a fortune at the moment because people have become anti-Tesla.
Yeah. Well, look, there was a check. Where was it? Tottenham. They attacked the Tesla showroom. I'm surprised they got a showroom in Tottenham, to be perfectly honest. But one of the showrooms got attacked there this week.
Yeah, in Germany, 3 Tesla cars were set on fire, and sales are down by 70%. Now that's got to be hurting Musk. That's got to be hurting Musk.
Yeah.
And Musk is saying, hang on, these tariffs are going to backfire on us.
Yeah, we're living in a very unstable world. The sad thing is there's too many nutters in this world, isn't there?
Well,
you've got to look at Spectrum on Air, the colourful voice of radio.
Interesting to note that the 5 richest men who attended Donald Trump's inauguration have seen their wealth tumble by more than £160 billion, thanks to market turmoil from his trade war.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to put up with that for long, are they?
No.
I mean, there's a lot of people turning against both Musk and Trump in America.
Mark Zuckerberg was down 4 billion. Jeff Bezos was down 22 million. Bernard Arnault was down 4 billion. And Sergey Brin was down 17 billion. And Elon Musk was down 115 billion pounds.
This is his share value, I presume, is it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, Tesla shares are falling through the floor at the moment.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
And
which is the trouble with Trump
buy a second-hand Tesla car now because they're giving them away.
Yeah, if anybody in his government questions him, or he says something he doesn't like, they're fired, aren't they?
Yeah. Brisbane Girl says
this is why he was like Alan Sugar, wasn't he?
Brisbane Girl says he's in Unhinged.
Well, I think she's right.
And she also says, right. We have a campaign here to ditch US products. He keeps taking samples of our government too.
Clevedon House, yeah, thanks, Tina. Clevedon House was where the
I said that earlier on, but you were
didn't hear
talking and weren't listening. You see, you've got to listen more, Bob. So
is that right?
It would certainly help. But I mean, Canada, the 51st state of America, yeah. I don't think they really want that.
Some do.
Well,
I read an article about this from one of the Canadian newspapers a while ago. There's quite a number that would like to be, but it's a funny country, Canada, isn't it? Really.
We were talking about Tesla stocks. One interesting thing is if we'd invested £10,000 in Tesla 5 years ago, it would still be worth 138 million now.
Yeah. Cherry's saying that North Korea already provides Putin with weapons and bodies. Yeah, absolutely, Terry. Yeah, I agree. Not good, is it? Terry's saying, be thankful they don't play cricket in the USA. Well, they do, actually. They do. There's an American cricket team there, isn't there?
Yeah. But they don't know how to play cricket properly.
Well, they're not. They're normally expats.
Oh, no, it's England. I mean, if we knew how to play properly, we might win a few games.
Well,
I don't know what England's doing on the cricket front.
The only people that win on the England cricket team are the ladies.
Well, they're not winning either.
They're better than the blokes, aren't they?
I don't know. I don't get into cricket really until it's summer.
No.
No, I just sort of glanced through the sports pages at it. Anyway, moving on.
All right, moving on. Labour has warned that its tax on jobs is going to ruin a £6 billion plan to cut the benefits bill. I mean, that we can take over, really, and start talking about the fact that Sir Keir Starmer said that NHS England is going to go.
Yeah, how many bodies there? 6,000?
It's quite a few thousand.
More than that, isn't it? Yeah. What are the unions going to say about this?
Well, I don't think they're very happy about it, really.
No. I just put a freedom of information request into the NHS England, actually.
Yeah?
About computer systems, because allegedly that a lot of hospitals are still operating on Windows XP and using fax machines and pagers.
Well, you won't get an answer.
I'm trying to get confirmation. Well, I did get I had an automated answer yesterday, saying that they are inundated with inquiries or something.
Yeah, but with NHS England going, I mean, it's a waste of an answer, isn't it? I mean, they might be able to tell you that, they used to use XP or whatever it was, but they don't use it anymore.
Well, they still will be, won't they, the hospital? They're not going to change just like that, are they?
Well, there are lots of legacy systems in various health authorities and hospitals.
Yeah, you know quite a bit about this, don't you?
Well, yeah, but actually, most hospitals are up to date. There are some legacy systems, particularly in places like laboratories, where the system works on an old version, and there's no reason to change it. They don't need to upgrade it because it only does a specific job. So there are lots of these systems still around, and they do sometimes use faxes for convenience. But it's a very tiny minority. The vast majority of the NHS have got fairly modern computers these days. The problem is they don't talk to each other.
Oh, that's it.
That's the real issue, because there's little fiefdoms within the NHS of all these different managers that want to do things their way. And then you've got all these competing commercial companies. And, I had reason to go to a private provider and they couldn't get access to my NHS record, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, we were talking to Terry yesterday, weren't we? And they've got in Germany, they've got the card, haven't they? Like an ID card that has medical records on it. Simple, and anybody can access it.
Yeah, I think that's right. There's a sort of thing about confidentiality, and I do think I can think of one example where there were two people. One of them, there were two children that both had a similar problem. One of the doctors was able to get the full medical record of the child that had the problem and help deal with it. The other parent, the clinician couldn't get hold of the medical record because of privacy concerns and had a different outcome. And eventually the parents were saying that, it's ridiculous. A medical professional should have access to the information they're required to make a determination. So, we all want this security until such time as we need it, and then we don't want it.
Exactly. My wife is terrified. We both have the NHS app, which sometimes it's a bit doesn't work that often. It keeps saying you've got messages and they're the same messages you read 10 times over. I mean, I keep getting these vaccination messages on it. If I've had one, I've had about 10 for the same thing. But she's scared stiff she's going to medical records are going to be escaped from it, and if people are going to, I said, well, what does it matter? Who cares? What are they going to do to you?
The people that do really care are the insurance companies.
Really?
And particularly life insurance companies, because they would love access to your medical records because they can then predict how soon you're going to pay out.
Yeah.
The underwriters within the life insurance business would love to have access to your medical records.
That's what's the name for them. They have a name, don't they?
Sorry, Mike?
They have a name, don't they?
Actuaries.
Actuaries.
Yeah.
The actuaries. They're always hustling for that sort of information, but the government won't give it to them, and the NHS won't give it to them.
Yeah. I was looking at, slightly changing, so about the blue badge thing. There was people writing in the Telegraph yesterday about this business you've got to reapply, which is a nonsense, really, isn't it, when you think about it? Because, if you've got a condition that you can't walk or whatever, you're hardly going to get any better you're going to get worse, if anything. And there's one case of somebody's 99-year-old mother had to reapply for hers. And they're saying, well, it takes 28 days, apparently, to get this reissued. And they said, 99, she's hardly going to improve her condition. But, it's all a waste of time. Why do you have to reapply?
I don't know.
It's all time-consuming and money and costly, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. If it affects you, it's probably find it very difficult. But if you've got somebody who's pulling the wool over somebody's eyes, they have to reapply again. I can understand it.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the case, would it?
That takes us on to the benefit system, doesn't it? Which is the big thing in the government at the moment. Which is all these people that have had a headache in the last 4 years on sickness benefit. Since COVID, particularly, people are just pulling. What do they say? Swinging the lead.
Yeah. I was reading yesterday that in 2022, we had more job vacancies than we had unemployed. Yeah. This is at the end of COVID. What's happened now?
We've still got an awful lot of job vacancies.
Yeah, but we also got an awful lot more unemployed.
Yeah, because people don't want to work. Have
you seen some of the amount they're getting paid? Some of these, some are on 35 grand a year.
Well, I don't think it's quite that much. But
what's the program? There's a program on. I think it's Horizon or whatever it is.
But what people have done is they've adapted to living within the benefit framework.
Yeah.
They've gone, right, okay, I've got £100 a week or whatever, and they've built their lives around that £100 a week and probably have a little side issue somewhere, flogging stuff on eBay or something.
Oh, yeah.
But they don't want to go and take up a job. And there are endless jobs available at the moment.
Yeah, but the other thing is, Alan, that, all right, if you and me have got £100 in our pocket, we've got to then take out money for the council tax and money for this and money for that, Whereas the people that are getting it from the government, they don't have to pay council tax. They don't have to pay this. They don't have to pay that. So their £100 in value, whereas our £100 probably equates to, say, 40 quid, theirs equates to 100 quid. Yeah. They're financially better off than we are.
Yeah, and we're paying more because of them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you've always got a strange way of looking at that, Mike. But the bottom line is...
Well, why is it a strange way of looking at it?
Yeah, why is it a strange way of looking at it? Explain yourself.
Well, I'll explain myself. You can't understand why young people don't go out and buy houses at the moment. That's what it's when everything was when I was a lad, it was okay, and now anybody on benefits is a scrounger.
I didn't say it was okay. I've never said it was okay. It was a struggle. Flipping heck, it was a struggle when I had to buy my first house.
But got no tolerance.
Kids nowadays, they don't know the word struggle. They don't know what it means to struggle.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely demonstrating exactly what I'm talking about. Of course, they know what it is to struggle. Of course, a young couple knows what it is to struggle. And when they've got to get something like
they know how it means to struggle because they can't have their 2 sunshine holidays a year and they're changing.
And the rest.
You live in a very peculiar world, Mr. Barry.
I don't. I live in the real world, mate. I live in the real world.
But when you bought a house, it was about 3 times average wage. Now we're talking 7.
I think it was a bit more than that, and I think it was about 4 or 5, wasn't it, Mike?
No, back in Mike's day, when he bought his house, it was 3 times average wage.
Well, it was 1890.
Yeah. And now I think it's 12 times average wage. It's just more difficult. There is less money to go around. People are paying extraordinary rents. People are paying a higher percentage of their income into having accommodation. They are just facts, mate. Whether you like it or not.
Yeah, of course they are. That's right. It's like when you were buying your first house and buying your packet of cigarettes at 1 threepence, 10p. And now you're paying £20 for a packet of cigarettes.
Well,
there's a lot of difference there, don't they? But
I still can't get to the bottom or understand why we are fleeced for just about everything in this country. Other countries that have got, say, cheaper energy, which is every country, they've got the same financial situations that we've got, possibly worse.
Yeah.
Well, not the
we seem to be hammered for everything we buy, and we get this increase in our pension. Well, that's more than we'll absorb by all these price increases, isn't it? Every single thing has gone up.
Yeah.
And it's not gone up in small amounts, it's gone up in big amounts. 4, 5, 10%, perhaps more. And, you've got to ask, why are we paying so much more for the same thing than other countries? I know when you go to Scandinavia, you expect to pay, £10 for a pint of beer, but that's because they're pro rata on more earnings, on bigger earnings over there.
That's right.
I mean, who was it said the other day? Somebody said on TV the other day, in America, they laugh at the salaries we get in this country.
Yeah.
Because they think they're ridiculously low.
Yeah.
Yeah, our cost of living is so high.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not. We're by no means the highest.
In what?
In tax. I mean, Finland it's 50.
Yeah, but I just said to you why the reason is, they're earning a lot more than us.
Japan,
they accept that because they get a better standard of living as a result of it. And, the councils there do what they're paid to do. They don't here. They keep taking more and more money and do less and less. This seems to be the British syndrome at the moment.
Years ago, when I was in Switzerland, I went round a supermarket, and I was gobsmacked totally at the prices of things.
Yeah.
Because they were 4 and 5 times more.
Not now, they're not, are they?
Okay. And I have to say to my niece who lives out there in Lucerne, there's a comment on this, and she said, yeah, but the thing is, the national wage is considerably higher. Because, whereas our minimum wage hourly rate was £6 or something, theirs was £22,
Exactly.
And therefore pro rata. And, going back to this business of housing and that, when we got married and bought the first house, it was lovely because we were the dumping ground for all of the family, because, we got some spare stair carpet in the loft, we've got a settee we want to get rid of, we've got a washing machine we want to get rid of.
Yeah.
And we took all of these things,
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? I'd had to save up or get HP or whatever to buy white goods, for example. But now, they've got to have the best of everything.
Yeah.
And then they got the BMW or the Porsche sitting outside, and they can't afford the mortgage.
I'll tell you a classic example now, and this actually happened.
Look at Alan's face.
I can see it now.
I'm not talking generally, Alan.
My wife got offered a microwave from a friend of hers, and a brand new one, and she said, well, no, we've got one, but, I know of a friend of mine whose daughter's moving into a flat, so, if I can have it, So the woman said, well, yeah, certainly, no problem at all. So Cheryl got in touch with this woman, who got in touch with her daughter, who came back and said, what colour is it?
Yeah.
Because it was red, she wanted a silver one. So she said, no, that's all right, I won't have it, thanks. Now, heavens above, if I was in that state, I would have grabbed it, whatever colour it was, But you see again,
we are living in
Alan's looking for a
world,
dog now, and I got him a lovely dog in the week, a dog looking for a friendly.
You're looking for a dog
master like Alan, but he doesn't want it because it's the wrong colour, It's not big enough.
What sort of dog was that then?
A little girly handbag dog.
Oh Christ! Yeah, well, I can understand that.
It's not a dog at all. It's
a yapper, a toy dog.
Yeah, it's a toy dog. It was very nice of you to consider my requirements, Mike, but no cigar on this occasion.
So Keir Starmer has ordered his ministers to stop outsourcing decisions to regulators. That's despite having created scores of new quangos since taking over. He's created 27 new quangos since the election. And this business of a quango is a fast one because you can bet your bottom dollar, and I'll tell you this now, and you can get some freedom of information, Bob, on it when it's happened. NHS England is going to be disbanded. Great. So all of those executives and that will all lose their job. They will get compensation, payments and that. And then the following week, they'll get a letter from the government inviting them to apply for a new role, double the salary as a consultant.
or a diversity officer.
Yeah, or diversity officer or something. I mean, I've got a story which we will
Alan Smirky
later on
from the Oval Office
about the BBC, and it's
I'm going to get a Trump wig for next week. By the way, the UK...
His hair's looking better. Don't you think his hair's looking better? No, it doesn't dye sort of orange.
Yeah. The UK ranks 30th overall in the company's most expensive places to be taxed. So we're actually, we're not far out of kilter with the rest of Europe.
Well, what's above us?
Well, all the countries we mentioned, like Denmark and Finland.
Yeah, well, you got to look at the situations in these countries and what they earn. This is a difference.
No, this is per head of population, and it takes into account those figures.
Let's say good morning to Mark Hanson this morning as well from Bletchley Bungalows.
Yeah, I've not heard from Mark for years, actually.
He's listening in now, so there we go.
It averages out the GDP per head of population to come up with those figures.
What are you looking at?
Well, I'm looking at internet searches.
Well, I gather that, but what?
Well, the Bob Bluffield.
Yeah, what site you? What data are you looking at? That's all I'm asking. It's not rocket science, is it? You must tell you what the site is that is comparing these figures.
Paxworld.co.uk.
Pax World.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Well, yeah, neither had I until I searched for it.
Yeah, well.
And the other information is coming from the Tax Foundation. Taxfoundation.org.
What are you typing in?
Where in the UK does we're in the world rankings for tax payable? Does the UK come? Anyway, we don't need to go through all my bleeding research.
Well, just try to question your sources. I'm questioning your sources. That's all.
You're just trying to get to me because I'm disagreeing with you.
No, not at all. I'm just trying to see who your sources are.
You're trying to do a Trump on me. You're saying you haven't got any cards, Malian. You haven't got any cards.
Yeah, that was quite funny because probably Zelensky didn't even understand that phraseology.
No, he probably didn't.
What do you mean? Cards. No, I've got rockets.
Yeah, I think what they did to Zelensky in that Oval Office was absolutely disgusting.
It's shameful. Absolutely shameful.
Absolutely shameful. They beat up a guy whose English isn't his first language. He's struggling to try and get his point over.
Yeah, but he wasn't wearing a suit, you see. So
you see, that is the problem.
Yeah, but then did anybody say anything about Musk when he was in there? And he's got a baseball hat on. Well, Trump wears it all the time. And it wasn't a "Make America Great" T-shirt.
Kid sitting on his shoulder.
Kid sitting on his shoulder. He was bored stiff, picking his nose, wasn't he? At one time. That's okay, is it? So what if the bloke doesn't wear a suit? Why should he? Churchill used to go around in a siren suit, didn't he, to meet him?
Well, he went to the White House. There's photographs of him recently going around the internet of him in a boiler suit in the White House in the Oval Office.
Yeah, well, there you are.
It's good enough for Churchill.
That's how the guy dresses. He said, when the war's over, I'll wear a suit. Which he probably will, but that's his stock in trade, isn't it? I thought that was terrible.
Yeah, I agree.
And then you get Starmer. Starmer always looks boring. Grey suit, white shirt, probably a drip dry white shirt and that.
£4,000 pair of glasses as well.
Yeah, well, what about Reeves again? Reeves has just accepted over £1,000 worth of tickets, hasn't she, for a concert, a rock concert or singer. So it's still going on. They're still taking these backhanders, aren't they?
Well, so they should as well.
We're not getting our comments have dried up, haven't they? Yeah. Terry said I spotted an albino Dalmatian last week. The least I could do for him. Or albino, as they say in America.
Oh, lovely.
Used to be when my dad was a judo instructor many, many, many years ago. There was a guy there who was an albino, pure albino. He got pink eyes. This guy. He's the only one I've ever seen. I've probably seen one other.
Now then, the leader of the opposition, one young lady called Kemi, she suggested that we should make asylum seekers repay the hotel bills.
What right?
Idea, eh? Will be forced to pay back the cost of being put up in hotels under a student loan style scheme proposed by Kemi Bandanov.
Student loan style scheme, well, they give them the money and they'll run, won't they?
The bill this week, supported to support asylum seekers, will be given a loan rather than gifted.
Well, I don't think so. I think they should be deported.
If their claim is successful upon finding a job, they would pay back accommodation fees with interest. Well, what a good idea. And will it work? No chance.
No.
Absolutely no chance.
If they wanted to stop these migrants coming in boats, they could quite easily. What about then the couple, the elderly couple who had a bike rack on the back of their motor caravan, a migrant smuggled his way into that under the cover of, the plastic covers over it, and got to this country, and they did the good thing. They gave him a bottle of water when they found him there. When they got home, phoned the police, and they got fined £1,500 for that, for the privilege. So somebody suggested, why don't they find the border guards, the border agency, for letting all these people in the first place?
Yeah.
It's it's a two-tier legal system, isn't it?
Well, there is.
What do they do? It would be in their interest to let the guy go, wouldn't it? And just say, go on, off you go, and not tell the authorities. Because nobody would have known in that case, would they?
No.
But there's still just as many coming home in the backs of lorries, isn't there, as there ever been?
Of course there is. Regardless of the sophisticated technology that they've got to, detect carbon monoxide and all this sort of thing.
Yeah, well, they scan every so many vehicles, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, but the trouble is, that because of the number of lorries coming through, and I was gobsmacked the last time I went through Dover, because it says something like yesterday, 17,000 trucks passed through.
Yeah,
phenomenal number, and I thought in a day,
Yeah.
So I mean, it's obvious that they've got to pick and choose who they test for coming through.
I don't think there's nearly as many as there used to be when we were in the EU.
No.
You don't see so many Polish trucks and such about these days, do you?
Well, you do, but I mean, you don't go out very often, so.
No, that's very true.
You want to travel up and down the motorway sometimes.
Yeah, there's still just as many, are there?
And I mean, at 3:00 in the morning as well. You go down the M1 and it's chock-a-block with trucks, because they're all heading down to Dover and Folkestone and South.
I had reason to drive up to Cumbria not so long ago. And I couldn't believe just how many trucks there were on the M1. They were just, head to toe, and there were just thousands of them. Just driving past, miles and miles of them.
Yeah.
No, I can't imagine how much stuff gets moved around.
Well, a lot of it with the, I don't know who's still the same, with the Polish guys, it was all cabotage, wasn't it? They come over here with a full tank of fuel they got cheaper abroad, and they do loads in this country, up and down this country. And then once the fuel was low, they go back, which they had enough fuel to last them, because they had illegal belly tanks, a lot of them as well. So they had quite a lot of fuel.
Makes economic sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. But they were taking the trade because they're undercutting our hauliers, weren't they?
But again, there's a lot of trucking companies in the UK. Got that right, didn't I? Trucking companies in the UK.
Truckers, mother truckers, yeah.
That actually, because they live close enough to Dover, prior to this business of it being difficult to cross now, but they used to go across. They would send their trucks across to fill up. It'd be an empty truck and it would fill up with diesel and then come back to the UK same day.
Yeah.
Then trundle around the UK doing the deliveries and all the rest of it, all on cheap fuel, which had come from abroad.
Yeah, so using our roads without paying any road tax. They weren't even, no tax on fuel because they were buying it abroad. They were laughing, weren't they, really?
Yeah.
And no wonder our hauliers went through a bad time, because they did. And quite a few went bust over it.
There's going to be more go bust as well because of this minimum wage and all that sort of thing, I mean, the government doesn't really seem to know what it's doing, does it?
I don't think it does. And everything it said it was going to do, it's done the opposite, isn't it?
Well, but isn't that any politician's going to do?
Yeah, but they're still going on about 14 years of Tory rule has caused all this, and it isn't really, is it? I mean, they've been in power now, 7-8 months?
Yeah.
What have they done apart from destroy the country?
No. I don't know really.
Tory, you know, I mean, who are we going to have running our country in 5 years' time? Because neither party's any good, are they? You know, and now Reform has self-destroyed itself, hasn't it?
Well, is this a tactic?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Why do you think it might be a tactic?
Well, I think they could be sitting back saying, well, look, let's not put all our eggs in one basket yet, because the thing is, the Tories, the Labour Party's imploding on itself. The Tory Party's got nothing to offer. So let's just sit back, wait until they're all really up the creek without paddles, and then we'll jump in. Which to me would be a logical move,
Just nipping back a second to this concept of people driving lorries over to get cheap fuel. What you haven't taken into account is the cost of the ferry, which is about 180 quid each way. So that's...
I don't think it was then, was it?
Well,
I don't know. I really don't know.
It certainly is now. So
well, it certainly was economical for them to do that.
Yeah, and £299 on other routes. So you're looking at 200 quid, 400 quid. You've got to save on fuel. That's a lot of fuel to save 400 quid.
Yeah, they carry a lot of fuel, don't they?
Is that a trailer as well, or just a tractor unit?
That's just a standard lorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but this a standard lorry. I mean, are you talking
7.5 metres?
An SUV you're talking about?
I'm talking about a 7.5 metre long lorry. I'm looking at the prices.
That's quite small, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm looking at the prices. And it goes up. If it's longer, it gets more expensive. So
yeah, well, of course, it takes up more room.
Yeah, but tractor units, what do the tractor units pay without a trailer?
I've got no idea.
Yeah, take the tractor,
Anyway,
drop the trailer.
You're trying to add to an argument where you haven't got any idea of what you're talking about.
They drop the trailer.
Okay, I've got no idea what I'm talking about, Mike. I'd rather go with your made-up statistics.
Come up with some silly little excuse there and reason,
I've got figures somewhere buried in the text of my book, but I
to make a discussion out of it, I mean, this is what I have to put up with every Saturday. I mean,
they dropped the trailer and then just took the unit over.
Yeah, that's right. It's just a tractor unit. The tractor, is only 4 meters long or something,
Because the Irish, I don't know if the Irish are still doing this, are they? Use it with the meat trucks. They bring them to the docks. The trailer would be brought over on its own, wouldn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
They pick it up this side.
Yeah. But that wouldn't make any difference in fuel costs, would it?
No, but that wasn't involved in fuel costs. So that's just something else. This is about the contracting the drivers and such over here. The Irish weren't bringing over the trailers. The meat trailers, the freezer trucks were coming over unaccompanied. Well, not by a prime mover. And they were being collected at the docks this side. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I just give in sometimes, I mean, I spend hours trying to get ideas and subjects for this show, and all I get is criticised and people coming up with false images and all this sort of thing, But it brings me nicer to the fact that we're going to have a little bit of an interlude in a minute, just to let you go and refresh your coffees and come back all full of beans and everything else. And in the second half, we'll be looking at the BBC, for instance, who spent £1.3 billion dealing with the Edwards scandal.
Oh.
And then the BBC are hiring a head of belonging at a salary of £125,000 a year.
So they get a head of what?
A head of belonging.
What on earth is that?
Well, exactly, but we'll find out about that in the second hour of this morning's programme. So keep it locked on to Spectrum on Air, the colourful voice of radio, because we're going to take a short interlude now, and we will be back very, very shortly. Hello, I'm Mike Barry, and every weekday morning between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock, I'm joined by my cockle Ken, his girlfriend Canetta, a very young cockerel called Clive, and Barney the puppy dog. Well, we bring you an hour of madness and some good music. So why not join me for breakfast on Spectrum on Air, the colourful voice of radio.
Sundays at 9 p.m. with DJ RPN. 60 minutes energy of techno music in one.
You are listening to Spectrum on Air, the colourful voice of radio.
All new shows to listen to on Spectrum on Air. Reggae.
Ooh, yeah.
Rock and roll jukebox.
Well, it's 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready. Now go, cat, go, but don't you step on my blue shoe.
And country go. All new shows on Spectrum on Air. Visit our website on spectrumonair.com or listen on Mixcloud Live.
Don't forget, you can listen to this radio station on the Get Me Radio platform. Download the Get Me Radio app and listen on your Android or Apple mobile phone, and a whole range of TV apps such as Roku, Fire, Android and Apple TV. You can also listen on Alexa and Google Home devices. Just search for Get Me Radio. Download the apps and listen to this radio station on your favorite devices.
Whatever you do, keep the weekend of May 10th to 11th free for the Shamrocks Festival. Tribute bands galore and food aplenty. Have a drink at the gig bar and rub shoulders with the artists. And did I mention discounted tickets just for you, dear listener? What are you waiting for? Come over to spectrumonair.com. Find out more and get your discounted tickets. Spectrum on Air, the Shamrocks Festival voice of radio.
New smart apps with our advanced ways for viewing. XP TV One. You can now view us on Samsung Galaxy Store, Apple App Store, Google Play, Roku, Samsung Smart TV's App Store, and Apple TV, Huawei, Amazon Fire Stick, and App Store. XP TV One. Tomorrow's TV broadcasting today.
You are listening to Spectrum on Air, the colourful voice of radio.
I'm Barry. I'm Bob Bluffield. I'm Alan Mallion. Together we are the Grumpy Old Men.
Every Saturday morning between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Only on Spectrum on Air. Often controversial, sometimes fun, but never dull. The Grumpy Old Men bring you their slant on world events and current affairs. 8 to 10 Saturday mornings. How you doing? If you're listening in this morning, congratulations and thank you for your company. And of course, it's now 9 o'clock and we're going to do another hour. But the top of the show has a warning. This show contains free speech from the presenters, which may upset or offend. So there we go. That's got that out of the way. And there's Mr. Mallion in
the office.
Yeah, well,
we tried today, isn't he?
I've got to get out when the cleaners come in, but I'm all right for the moment.
Okay. Do you think he has cleaners in there?
He needs them. The amount of bullshit that gets left around the place.
Yeah. And Bob, tell us about Brisbane Girl.
What about her? Well, I had these floods. I was saying about the big clean-up has started, she's saying, and now they have the sun back, which is nice. When our friends were in Sydney, they came back a couple of days ago and they had quite a bit of rain, I think, in Sydney, but no storms as such.
Oh.
I just asked if she can claim insurance for any damage, or is it the old nutshell, an act of God, as they used to claim, didn't they, on insurance policies when anything natural occurred?
Well, I don't know. But let's move swiftly on, welcoming him, of course, all of our usual people here onto the show. But, it's been built to encourage motorists to swap a road for rail. However, a new train station has come under fire. because they haven't provided a single car parking space.
Oh, yes.
Instead of it's a 20 million sustainable transport hub will offer storage for 1,000 bicycles. So people living near Cambridge South Station have condemned the crazy move, fearing drivers will simply park on nearby roads. Well, of course they will. I mean, they're going to have to park somewhere, aren't they? But what idiots? And I mean, I can't really think of another word.
The Chief Planning Officer, Henry Woke.
Well,
yeah, wasn't this other car park? This other car park where they didn't have an entrance, wasn't that in Cambridge as well? At a railway station or near a railway station? Park and drive, wasn't it? A park and ride scheme somewhere where you couldn't get to the car park because there was no road to it.
That was, I can't remember that was. I think it was Cambridge.
I thought it was, yeah.
Cambridge, actually,
Camborne or something like that in Cambridge, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's probably where they built the new station with 1,000 spaces for bikes and no car parking, you know.
But don't you think this is becoming par for course in this country, isn't it?
Isn't it?
You know,
it beggars belief, doesn't it? I mean, how, you know, if I spoke to my 7-year-old great grandson and said to him, "Look, you know,
get your Lego out.
Station should I have a car park there?" And he would say to me, "What do you mean? Should you have a car park? Of course you've got to have a car park." You know,
Theo Chalmers, who writes this Eden Project, or not Eden Project, what's he called it? He is a sort of spokesman for Milton Keynes, isn't he? He's saying about the new housing estate that's way behind schedule up near the motorway there, near you, Mike, that they've got no parking provisions up there either, or indeed electric chargers on these houses.
Yeah, so, but that all seemed like a dodgy scheme from the word go. I had a look at it. I was over in Malso. I had to go to Malso the other day.
Is that still there?
Yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah, and so you get to see like the construction site, and it's massive. It's absolutely massive.
Oh no, it's desolate, isn't it? At the moment, it's I went down the Willen Road the other day, and you don't recognise it anymore. You've got the warehouses on the right hand side, haven't you? As you come towards Milton Keynes. And you've got this vast area to the left. Is that where the houses are going?
Yeah, well, just in case you don't know Milton Keynes very well, I mean, Milton Keynes is a new town and we've had lots of development. It's gone into overdrive at the moment. It's doubling its size. Well, Milton Keynes City.
I just said that, yeah.
Yeah, but it is doubling in size at the moment and the number of buildings that are going on are just exponential. It's huge. Huge amount of work, and they've built massive, great warehouses in relatively residential areas. The planning seems to have gone completely bonkers, and the government are saying, "Oh, we're going to restrict planning regulations." Well, they certainly restricted them in Milton Keynes.
Yeah,
you seem to be able to build a giant warehouse, wherever you like.
But, and of course, this listener is where
again,
Keir Starmer turned up and ran away by helicopter.
Rubbish, Malian, because these 4 big warehouses that built outside of Newport Pagnell, between Newport Pagnell and the M1, they are going to be serviced by vehicles on the M1. They're coming off the M1 and going into these massive warehouses. They're not trundling through little villages and all this sort of thing. I mean, that's proper planning.
Oh, so why have they changed all the local roads then?
To accommodate the vehicle.
Put a new roundabout in and put extra lanes in, the dual carriageways and everything, because they're not just coming off the M1, although some will be, of course. But there will be vehicles all over the place. They're distribution centres. Not everything goes on the M1.
You can bet your life they'd be going up Chichley Hill, they'd be going heading towards Northampton through Olney and places like that.
Absolutely. The whole road network there is going to be stressed at the very least.
But it's not just there, is it? We've got on the south side of the city. We've got warehouses there, that new place up near Toby's.
The residents all around that area of Willen, which backs onto it, basically, they all complained. They all objected. They had a whole campaign objecting to this, saying it's going to dwarf our housing estate and everything else. It's all too much. But nobody took a blind bit of notice of their complaints. It's got nowhere.
I'll tell you what. Since
in my backyard, please.
Yeah, since they got that sort of temporary bit of dual carriageway now, where it's all it seems to stop the boy racing on Sunday nights. I've not heard that for a few weeks.
Oh, I missed the boy racing.
Did you?
Oh, yeah, I love the sound of motorcycles going up and down the V8.
Well, cars, aren't they, as well?
Well, Brisbane girl is making comments.
Yes, indeed. This is about their flooding, I think. They're stopping parking places in our city, high-rise blocks in the future. The reason is that in the future, people won't personally own cars, they won't be able to afford them, and people have a carpool system. Yeah, they tried that before, haven't they? And it hasn't worked.
Well, what was his name? The office of the Deputy Prime Minister, old Two Jags.
Yeah.
Well, when he was in charge, Prescott, he created an edict that parking will be restricted to 1 car per household.
Yeah, that's why he had 2.
And 1.5 on per household on an estate in Milton Keynes. You know, most houses have 2 cars and many have 3.
Terry said the warehouses will store immigrants.
Yeah,
that's what they're for.
Well, they've been speculatively built. They don't actually have customers for them. They're just building them, and they've done the same thing down in another part of Milton Keynes, which is called by the A5 roundabout. There's some massive warehouses being built there. They've been
empty. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, saying that they're still empty, are they?
Yes, they've been empty for 2 years.
Have they really?
Yeah, it's all funny money that's building them.
Well, it does certainly look that way, doesn't it?
It reeks of, developers just getting their own way. And I suppose it's money in the bank for a developer, isn't it?
But we're not hearing really. Yeah,
you're throwing out things that bemuses me, on this because.
Well, it's Mike. You've got to it's hard to bemuse you. You are a victim of bemusement. I mean, if somebody says, "Look,"
I might get a word in a minute.
Black, white, and red. Why do you want to get a word in? Because you talk absolute rock.
Well, exactly, yes, so...
Well, go on, Mike, what are you going to say? Mike, what are you going to say?
Well, what I'm going to say is there's a little thing called planning, and I mean structural planning for future within large organisations. Now, then, people like Tesco's and Sainsbury's and even Lidl's, who've built a massive distribution centre on the M1 down at Junction 12, They don't just sort of wake up on Monday morning and say, "Oh, let's move to let's move to Nottingham and have a big warehouse and all this." These things take time. They take planning. They take a long time to build and then quite some time to sell. But a lot of them they've got markets for them before they start building them. Just because a warehouse happens to be empty for 18 months or so doesn't mean to say that it hasn't got its future already planned out, because companies, again, they can't just suddenly up and move, our headquarters is in Nottingham, but we're going to move it to Milton Keynes next Tuesday. These things sometimes take 2 and 3 years to plan. The logistics of moving a vast operation like that does take a horrendous amount of time. And this is the point that you're missing, I'm afraid, Mr. Mallion, because, you're just seeing these things being put up and then a to-let sign put on them, and then they stand empty for 18 months.
I think there's an element of truth in what Alan's saying, that they're there as a tax loss. I don't think they're all destined to be let out. I think come back in 5 years' time, you'll probably find some of these places still empty.
I agree with you. There's planning involved, and when Lidl want a warehouse, they build one, they commission it.
Yeah, we go back many years now to the 70s. Look at Centre Point in London that was left empty for donkey's years because it was a tax loss.
Yeah.
They put this great big skyscraper up and it was empty because, nobody wanted it for one thing because it was too expensive. But then, they were raking in tax benefits off it.
And who was behind all that, all the oligarchs?
No, they weren't. No, they weren't. It was an English guy. It was a bloke called Hyams, I think it was.
Yeah. Oh. It was a bloke called Hines, but
Hyams, H-I-H-I-M, I think.
Yeah, I remember the name. But I think a lot of it's funny money that just needs to be dumped somewhere. I mean, the oligarchs are buying up property in London for that reason. Much of it, you go to places like Duke's Avenue in Hampstead, and you got these
Bishop's Avenue.
Bishop's Avenue, should I say? You're quite right.
You've upgraded them.
Yeah, and you got these huge houses empty, Massive.
Yeah.
Houses worth
They've actually knocked a couple down, haven't they?
20, 30 million pounds.
Yeah. But they're all in the West End. They're down in Swiss Cottage around there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Mayfair. But what is happening with this? We don't hear much about all this 1.5 million houses that the Labour are building, do we? Have we completed any yet?
Well, I think they're building them in Milton Keynes, just outside Newport Pagnell.
How many on that project?
2,500, I understand.
But they haven't got the infrastructure yet, have they? For doctor surgeries, shops.
Yes, there's a school built there already.
Is it really? Oh.
Yeah.
But they haven't got any staff for it, I shouldn't think.
Well, it's not open yet because the estate isn't open.
No, but like you're planning, Mike, they've got to take on staff before they open, haven't they?
Yeah, but I'm applying for a job as a teacher there.
Well, you could do because they're short of them, aren't they? They're 6,000 teachers short now, aren't they, I reckon?
I mean, the fact that my age might put me off a little bit or put them off a little bit, but I'm a man of wealth of experience.
This is it. You've got the experience and you're not a woke. This is the difference, isn't it? I mean, the teachers are employing their wokes, aren't they? Because they come out of woke university. And, they're talking now seriously about a lot of the universities could close down because of this sort of wokeism attitude they've got.
Yeah, but we've got nothing to worry about, though, because the government is solving all of our problems because, they've sorted out the NHS because they're going to get rid of NHS England. They've got a new deal with GPs. They're going to pay them a lot more money so that now we can go back to the old days of, the doctor's waiting room and the doctor coming and visiting you and all that sort of thing,
Yeah, it's easy to talk about
5 days a week.
And it's easy to talk about all this, but you don't see the results of it, do you? Because
you can't give them a chance. Come on.
Yeah.
The poor Labour government, they haven't been in power for so long, they've forgotten how to do it.
Yeah, but it was the Tories' fault.
They're just now getting, you've got Rachel from accounts,
Well, I'm beginning to wonder if she's even from accounts, to be honest.
You've got Angela, who we don't hear very much off these days.
Did she have a lovely outfit this week?
She's gone quiet, hasn't she?
I'm getting fed up with question time. I think that's Prime Minister's questions. It is an absolute waste of time.
Oh, it is.
It was a complete farce this week.
Yeah, it always has been, but it's getting worse, I think. I'm not going to watch it anymore because you get nothing out of it. It's, Badnoch is she's not strong enough, for one thing. Starmer tells a lot of lies and just refuses to answer the questions. And when anybody asks him a question, he beats about the bush. He goes on for about 10 minutes, drones on, and people have forgotten what they've even asked him.
It's a comedy show.
Yeah, did you see the lot yesterday where he's at this factory and they were looking as bored as hell standing behind him? I think they were just waiting for the ground to swallow them up.
Wow.
The man is so boring. I mean, he only went on for 40 minutes, I think, yesterday or the day before, was it? But he goes on and on. He drones on and nobody has any idea what he's talking about.
I'm surprised the leader actually allows it to go on like that. We are talking about House of Commons, aren't we?
No. I'm talking about the when Starmer was out on his visits on the road.
Oh.
He was at Reckitt and Coleman somewhere or other this week. And of course, the staff have to applaud him to come in and have to gather and stand all around him for the cameras. And the press are suitably programmed in front of him, to ask the right questions. It's all a sham, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I think we should start giving the Labour Party some support, really.
Do you really? Why?
Yeah.
Because they're the new Tory party, aren't they?
What about, wouldn't it be nice if the questions raised in the Prime Minister's questions, he had no forewarned knowledge of. So he just had to speak off the cuff about what he was being asked. That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but the Prime Minister's question times is all prefabricated because
that's what I'm saying.
All the questions are given beforehand. All the answers
it shouldn't be, should it? It shouldn't be, really.
And there's no debate because he just reads out an answer to a question and that's the end of it. There's no debate over it.
No.
It's just a question and answer situation, which is pathetic.
It is.
It's a total waste of time. So why don't
we really do need some major reforms, don't we, in Parliament?
Oh, we need to reform them, don't we?
Oh.
Wait, that could be a good idea, actually.
Good day for a party.
If we formed a reform party to do that, and perhaps we could get Nigel Farage to run it for us.
If you've got access to it, Alan, ask it how many parties we are represented in Parliament in the House of Commons. How many different parties?
I haven't got access to it. It's about 6.
There's more than that, isn't there? No. Independents of different weirdo parties, like Monster Raving Loony Party, so they haven't got any seats.
How many
political parties in the UK?
Oh, in the UK?
Well, all right, I'll say England then.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
There's hundreds.
Yeah.
There's the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Cats and Mice party. We've got the Monster Raving Loony Party, which I actually think we three should stand for that.
How do they get financed?
Yeah, what?
I said, how do they get financed?
By donations.
Who's mad enough to back them, but then are they going to lose? They're going to lose their deposits.
Well, people do. The Monster Raving Loony Party often loses its deposit, but people
it always does, doesn't it?
People still seem to find the money to do it.
Yeah, but it's the same as the Greens, isn't it? You know,
hear them. You don't hear anything of them now, do you? Really?
We had a guy.
They got one politician, one MP.
We had a guy in Milton Keynes that stood for every single election in Milton Keynes just from the Greens. And what was his name, Alan?
Can't remember.
No, I can't remember,
but he did. He stood for every election. He was a good guy, actually. A really nice bloke.
Was a nice bloke, yeah. His name is very similar to an estate agent's in Milton Keynes as well.
Connell?
No.
Brown and Mary?
No. Brown and Mary is 2 people, Bob. No, sorry to wake you up a bit and all the rest of it, but
I was thinking one or the other.
The best party was on Saturday nights, yeah. Thanks, Terry. Now, moving swiftly on, because this is rather a tragic story, and I think that we need to publicise this dreadful and awful situation more and more, because the government needs to do something about it. The Post Office Horizon scandal finally received an offer of compensation. Post Office Horizon scandal victim, finally received an offer of compensation days after he died.
Yeah.
Terry Walters, who was 76, was falsely accused over thousands of pounds in supposed losses from his Hockley branch in Stockport in 2007. But he died in February after years of ill health. But days later, his widow, Janet, who was 68, received a letter making an offer of compensation far below the amount that, in fact, they'd claimed. Well, what is going wrong with this? Who is to blame? What's the problem with it?
I don't know. They agreed to make these payments, didn't they? But people are not getting them. And I don't know how many people have died now as a result. And a lot of them they've had an earlier death than they might have done because of the stress factors involved with it.
I think the thing is, in a lot of cases, they've lost thousands. Let's say, for example, they lost £20,000, and they've been offered a compensation of £2,000. So
it's a lot bigger than that, isn't it?
It's obvious that you're going to turn around and say, no, stuff it.
That's right. It's the lawyers. I think it's the lawyers that are defending the post office that are behind it.
Yeah.
The post office have put millions and millions into this court case, haven't they? And to defend themselves when they've got no defence at all, really.
Well, the thing is, we say the post office, but it's the government, isn't it?
Well,
they're the ones who've lost the money.
Well, ultimately,
the whole thing's underwritten by the government, and the government have been shameful. Both governments, Labour and Conservative, have been shameful in the whole exercise of this. And
the worst part is the fact that nobody's been called to account for it, have they?
Well, the police investigation is ongoing, and they reckon.
But the evidence is out there. Everyone can see the evidence, can't they?
It's just a joke. It's like kick it into the long grass, kick it into the long grass. That seems to be the British way with such things. Just kick everything into the long grass. Have another meeting. I'll tell you what, let's put some more red tape in and then have another meeting. But we'll have to have a meeting before that meeting to discuss what that meeting's going to be.
You missed the meeting out, sorry.
Oh, sorry, it was the pre-meeting to the meeting. That was right. I understand, to try and determine what the meeting was going to be all about.
Joking aside, it's not. This is a criminality evolving all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, Venables is still walking the streets. She's never been called to task, and ultimately she was to blame.
Yeah, but she just turns on the old tears, doesn't she? And everybody goes,
what an act that was. You watched a lot of it, didn't you? Like I did.
What an act that was.
Wasn't it a farce?
Absolute farce. And then she's going off to be a vicar or something. Good blimey.
Well, she was a vicar.
Oh, she was a vicar.
She was going to be made bishop.
She was. She was going off as a bishop of St. Albans.
St. Albans, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, again...
She's resigned from that, though, isn't she?
Yeah.
You know, I'm surprised she didn't top herself, to be honest.
Did you see? She's got no qualms, is she, about it? She doesn't care. She's got her money. Did you see him doorstep her one time on TV? And she's like a frightened little rat in the headlights, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think she sort of hinted, I can't take any more of this.
She should be in jail. No two ways about it. A lot of them should have been.
Well, I agree with you, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
It's her advisors as well.
I don't like to agree with you, Bob, because
her advisors could have been.
But on this occasion, I'm 100% with you.
I mean, moving on, but in the same vein. I mean, I was gobsmacked a couple of days ago to hear that Cheshire Police are now come to the decision that certain senior management people in the Chester hospitals over the Letby affair are going to be charged with corporate manslaughter.
Well, they're considering it.
Considering it, yeah.
Oh, I think there's an awful lot going on there, and I've got to say, I think Letby was the patsy in this. Oh, they thought, you know, that she could take the blame for it, and she's still behind bars. Why aren't they hastening up the appeal? Because the evidence suggests that she was not involved with it. She was there, but she didn't kill anybody.
That's right. I'm afraid.
I really don't think she did kill anybody.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I've read an awful lot about it. A lot of the papers, and Dave Davis, the MP, he's gone through every conceivable document, and he's on her side too.
Yeah,
and it seems a lot of medical professionals are as well.
Yeah, indeed.
She was a patsy for the whole thing, and it seems that the trust has got an awful lot to answer for. And I think the police should be doing an investigation. But why is it taking them so long?
Well, that is my point. You know, the fact that it's been so long now. What are the police doing? I mean, are they about a meeting again? You know.
Yeah. Well, this is not the first time this has occurred. I mean, it occurred at Bristol United Hospitals. There's babies died there unnecessarily. Nobody was brought to trial over that. It happened at Old People at Gosport Hospital, where more than 200 people were overdosed with drugs. So they died sooner. A lot of them wouldn't have died in any case. And the doctor there just resigned, and that was it. End of matter. She didn't get. There was no criminal charges brought against her at all. I've written about this at length, actually. And then prior to that, it was Staffordshire Hospital and Tameside Hospital in Manchester.
Yeah.
They've all had these cases where numerous people have died unnecessarily because of a lack of care or negligence.
Well, let's face it. I mean, doctors are, funnily enough, only human beings, and you know, human beings are prone to make mistakes.
Yeah, make mistakes, but when it becomes gross negligence and hundreds are dying,
that's right. I mean, you know, they bury their mistakes.
Yeah. Well, look at Shipman.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, nobody knows how many he killed. I mean, they know about 270, but they think there's an awful lot more. Well, you know, the warning signs were there. A pathologist was started to wonder what was going on and blew the whistle, and nobody did anything about it.
No.
It's the same with the rape gangs. It's easier to sweep things away, sweep them under the carpet. They tend to get forgotten about.
It seems that institutionally, that's what happens. On a lot of cases, it certainly happened with the rape gangs in Rotherham.
Not just Rotherham, it's everywhere.
It certainly happens in the NHS to a great extent. I mean, they have professional consultants that, you know, whose job it is to pass the buck.
Yeah, and they're paying people off to keep quiet.
And NDAs.
Yeah. That happened. I think it was the hospital in Tottenham, St Anne's Hospital in Tottenham. There was a case there of that. They tried to buy somebody off for 500,000 quid or so. And she said, "No, I'm not doing it." And I think somebody did come to trial there some years ago now. And they say that this country's not corrupt, don't they? They like to make out it's like, where is it? You know, we're more corrupt than many countries. I think we're way up there. Actually, I think we're number 29 in the list now. of the highest, most corrupt countries in the world.
Where did you get that information from?
Oh, there's the.
What's your sources?
I can tell you, but I haven't got it at hand.
I'm just going to back that one back.
I think something called Transparency International, so produce an annual. It's either or it's something about corruption.
You should say I'm a journalist. I don't give away my sources.
NDA, dear listener, is a non-disclosure agreement.
That's right.
Which happens in a lot of commercial organisations.
Doesn't it just?
I mean, even my daughter, who supplies the Christmas trees and the decorations at St Pancras Station in London.
Should you be saying that?
She's had to sign an NDA, so that she doesn't disclose how much it cost and all that sort of thing, So, but again, this business of the police sitting on their hands. I mean, somebody should be taken to task over this, I think.
Well, this is the problem that, we sit here week after week saying a very similar thing about lots of different organisations, that somebody needs to task, somebody needs to be responsible, somebody needs to take, and nobody does.
No, well, have you seen that? I think it's 79 a day now, the average of knocks on doors for people posted on social media.
Wow.
We don't hear about many of them, but, you hear one or two like Alison Pearson, who got the knock on the door in Essex, and now the police are saying, well, not us, Gov, we've done nothing wrong. You haven't got a case. So she's taken them to court with the backing of the Freedom of Speech Society. What are the police doing? Why are they doing this? Is it because it's easy pickings for them? Why are they investigating non-hate crimes that aren't crimes at all?
Yeah, but listen, I mean, in any organisation that has to produce statistics and that, they are all open to fiddle because
the
NHS now have found ways of getting around these waiting list times that are not being adhered to and all the rest of it, by adjusting their records, which makes them look good.
Well, that's right.
Police do it.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, why is it Manchester police never refuses to give out their figures?
Well, I mean, all right, I can empathise in a way because, for instance, I went up to my local co-op last Sunday morning to buy the newspapers, to find that the entrance was all covered in blue and white tape from the police because you couldn't get into it. And I spoke to a policeman there who told me that no, they'd had a burglary in the night. And then I spoke to one of the employees in the week, and in fact, they'd come in with angle grinders and broken into the safe and got away with over £2,000 in cash. Now, I said to this lad, I said, well, haven't you got cameras in here? He said, oh, yeah, we have. He said, but they'd all got masks on. So, the police, their hands are tied to a certain extent. How do you go around getting people who are disguised?
Well, yeah, but the thing is, why are they doing these knocking on doors for posts on social media? Why are they doing that? They haven't got the manpower, so why are they doing it? It's like that person the other day that got it on her door camera, didn't she? Two plainclothes coppers go to a door over something very innocuous because she complained about a Labour councillor who was involved in this WhatsApp scandal recently, about insulting some of their candidates and all the rest of it. And that's all she said, that he should stand down, and he got two coppers knocking on the door. For what? What does it achieve?
For what we've got here, free speech. Long live free speech.
Yeah, but we haven't, have we? You say we have. We haven't. We've got to watch what we say.
There's very little I haven't been able to say this morning on the radio.
No, well, I know, but
our international audience.
Yeah, well, they're having their coffee at the moment. You'll get the knock on the door later.
Oh, well,
yeah, but if this blasphemy law comes in, God knows what that's going to do.
I'm going up to soup and sausage for breakfast.
Well, you told them that they'd be waiting for you.
Yeah, they can wait up because there'll be 400 bikes.
It's a farce. We don't seem to be able to cope with any simple things in this country.
No, there doesn't seem to be anybody that takes on responsibility. And I mean,
exactly right. That's the
I
key.
suppose you could say that the Trump government is leading the way a little bit in terms of, like, Elon Musk going out and actually making things happen, even though he's talking a complete load of old rubbish.
But give him his due. I mean, going back to the grooming gangs, That would have been, that's re-emerged now, and at least, well, are they doing anything about it? But he did bring it to the public attention again, which it needed to be.
Yeah. I just don't think.
But they still won't have a public inquiry. Why won't they have a public inquiry? Because they know names will be named and people will be held responsible for turning a blind eye. And most of those are social workers, council workers, and police who just refuse to do anything about it.
Yeah.
One 15-year-old girl got raped. She went to the police to report it, and they threatened to arrest her. Not the Pakistani that did it.
No, which is
how many
I know that story well. I've read it.
Bastards are walking the streets, in towns and cities throughout this land.
But what should happen is that police officer that did that to her should be arrested. Yeah. But it's not going to happen, is it?
No.
No. But we know it should happen, but it won't happen.
Well, they close ranks for one thing, don't they?
Well,
wait a minute, though. There's always two sides to the story.
And then they retire, don't they, early?
Yeah, they get
on a full pension,
on a big
and they can't be prosecuted by the police if they retire. I understand.
Yeah, something
what,
like
Mike?
That. No, I think it's it is corruption on a grand scale, and turning the blind eye is a corrupt thing to do.
But these screw guys, he's been going on for 30 or 40 years. It's not something new.
And they don't seem to have any professional indemnity.
No.
Are
you going to say, Mike, about two sides of the story? In what respect?
Well, we don't know what happened with this little girl that went in.
Oh, we do.
We do know exactly what happened.
Because you were there, were you?
Oh, the evidence.
We've heard the reports and we've
the
had
evidence is in the public domain, Mike. It's in public documents that you can get online.
Oh, you're not going to tell me now that you believe everything you read or see on the television?
I'm not talking about.
Sorry, I didn't realise that you do. I mean,
I'm not talking about the television.
I apologise.
I'm not talking about the television. I'm talking about official documents that have been released, inquiries.
Yeah.
You can find all sorts of stuff online that is, is factual.
Yeah. No, sorry, I live in a different world to you guys.
I think you do actually.
Yeah,
I think you live in Cloud Mikey land.
Yeah, he does.
Hello, my name's Mikey, and I'm anti-totalitarianistic.
Right, I'm going to move.
So what do you go on, Mike? Go back to that. Go. What are you saying about this? Then it didn't happen.
No, I didn't say that.
Well, that's what you're implying.
I just said there are two sides to the story.
Well, of course there are, and the sides have been well and truly investigated.
Yeah, of course I have. Yeah.
All right.
You
can't argue that, can you?
Can't argue with him, can you? Because you
can't argue with stupidity, can you?
No. You just have to sit there and go, nah.
Whoever's doing it all should be locked up for life. Yeah, quite right. So, DJ Rudy?
DJ Rudy, yeah, hi. Welcome to the show. Thank you for your company this morning. And incidentally, let's move on because the BBC have paid £1.3 million for dealing with the Hugh Edwards scandal.
No, hang on. The licence payers have.
Well, of course it is. It's
us.
We
paid it.
You and me,
yeah.
And what's more, the findings of its initial internal inquiry still haven't been published. I mean, this beggars belief, isn't it?
No, because
the BBC spokesman said we aim to resolve matters without external support. We only incur external legal costs when absolutely necessary. Why is it have to have external costs? Because he was charged, he pleaded guilty,
and he should be in jail, shouldn't he?
He should be in jail. He got lucky, I think, because he was probably a mate of the judge.
Well, this should be the old thing about the funny handshakes, and you don't hear about that much these days, do you? And the Sonic connections.
Well, if you move in the right circles, you do.
Yeah, but it's not so much publicised. With these sort of incidents.
Well, the Freemasons are, in fact, actually at the moment advertising.
They're recruiting, yeah.
Because they're short of members now. But funnily enough, I was speaking to quite a high up Freemason on Thursday,
Mr. B,
who was saying that that things are not happy within the organisation because there's a lot of the elderly members are dead against this business of recruitment for people, because it's not a secret society. It's a society with secrets.
That's correct. You talking about Mr. Baines?
Huh?
Talking about Mr. Baines?
I'm not naming names. I don't sit here, Bluffield, and name names to get people into trouble.
Perhaps you should.
No,
he's protecting his sources.
I mean, I'm not. I'm going to apply to the BBC because there's a job going hiring £125,000 a year salary, and it's head of belonging.
Yeah.
So the corporation is offering the generous salary for the head of diversity, inclusion, and belonging, who will be in charge of creating an inclusive workplace culture where everyone feels they can belong.
What's that supposed to mean?
Exactly.
£25,000 a year.
Yeah.
They're saying, be nice. Really?
Isn't this a load of wokeism nonsense?
I couldn't agree more. I just think it's the most ridiculous. I think the BBC wastes so much of our money. They pay that football twat.
Oh, Gary Lineker. I mean, what? I thought wokeism was being knocked on the head. I mean, Trump had the right idea about that, didn't he? Give him his due on that.
Well, it's one of a number of things that he's done that I actually support.
It's a scourge of society, isn't it, wokeism?
Yeah.
The position from the BBC, excuse me, was announced at a time when the BBC has admitted to serious flaws by blowing £400,000 on a Gaza documentary fronted by the teenage son of a Hamas government official. It's also trying to recoup £200,000 from the disgraced news anchor Hugh Edwards that was paid to him between his arrest for child abuse images and his resignation. But
I think somebody should be sacked for doing that.
The successful candidate will lead a team of specialist diversity, inclusion, and belonging practitioners, and embed inclusive practices into recruitment, retention, development, and engagement. Wowee! Doesn't that sound like a job you want to go for?
Yeah. It's very easy to be unaccountable, is it, when you're spending other people's money? They've got no directors in such or shareholders, have they, to answer to, like in private enterprise, so they can blow our money.
There should only be one criteria for hiring somebody, and it's got nothing to do with their gender, their race, their religion, what they look like, what colour they are. Is it the best person for the job? That's the only answer.
Meritography? No, merit.
Based on merit.
Based on merit. I'm trying to think of the word.
But merit-based, yeah. So that is the only criteria. You don't need somebody to say, oh no, you haven't taken on enough people from that ethnic minority or that another ethnic minority, because that is not the criteria for hiring anybody for anything.
Yeah, lo and behold, the RAF are now saying, well, we haven't got any pilots, because we had this thing, we couldn't employ white males now. We've got ethics, and no ethics applied, did they?
Yeah, I read that story as well. It is the most ridiculous load of old twaddle ever. This diversity thing has just got right up my nose.
It's reverse racism, isn't it?
It is reverse racism. It doesn't work. I mean, if somebody has got the qualifications and is the best person for the job, as I say, regardless of race, colour, creed, religion, or anything, they should be hired.
But it's got to be in the hirer's own interest, isn't it?
Well, this idea of setting quotas and targets for you've got to employ X number of people from out of Mongolia. You got to have 20 people in your company with big noses. It's just pure stupidity.
Yeah. You leave my big nose out of it.
Yeah.
Well, you'd be you'd have the advantage of having a big nose. You might get hired regardless of what your pathetic qualifications were.
Look at the DJ Tim Westwood, DJ Ruddy saying, is this a BBC guy that's just been accused of something?
Yeah.
Tim Westwood, yeah.
I don't listen to BBC anymore, really.
No.
What's he done?
I only listen to Spectrum and Air, the colourful voice of radio.
Yeah.
Let's shut you up, innit? What about this now then, Bob? The outrage, the headline says, as ego zealots have their jail sentences slashed. And Just Stop Oil leader is set to be released soon.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
Eh?
He's a multi-millionaire, isn't he?
Yeah.
What about the girl that was slashed to painting? She first of all poured paint all over it in Cambridge University. They slashed the painting. They don't know who she is. She's on film, but they don't know who she is. No. So she's never been arrested. They said this is again, it's wokeism because if she comes probably from a well-heeled family, you know, one of the establishment, being Cambridge, you see. Oh, it's crap, isn't it? Yeah, can't use that word, can I?
No.
They was talking last night. I had the live thing with the audience at GB News last night with what's her name was on the morning show. God, my memory in the morning's terrible. And somebody said, call somebody up. Was it a plonker or something? No, not a plonker. A pillock. Yeah. Well, that's they apparently got a list of Ofcom words they can't use, and they have to apologise for it.
Because they call somebody a pillock?
Something like that, yeah. I don't know if pillock was a word, it's something else.
Yeah, where's Mike gone? Oh, here he is.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? But again, it's wokeism. Yeah, we've all got to subscribe to this business, haven't we? We can't say this and we can't say that because it's likely to offend somebody.
Well, a pillock is a stupid person.
Yeah. But you mustn't say that. You can't call that in loose. And this person was talking about themselves. They said something about I'm a pillock, and they said, "Well, you can't say that."
Well, I've called myself a pillock before now.
I said, well, I say it because even though you're talking about yourself, it's not an approved Ofcom word.
Well,
it's Ofcom's not fit for purpose, is it? You know, again, another quango, isn't it?
Well, none of them are they? Look at Ofwat. You know, I mean, they're talking about this. What is it? £300 billion injection to Thames Water.
Yeah, I mean, these regulators, whose side are they on? They're meant to be on the public side, aren't they? The consumer side, but they so rarely are. You know, who's being paid off? You know, to go the other way.
Well,
you know, is there an element of bribery going on here? I think it is.
Do you?
Yeah. But then I'm a skeptic.
Talking about bribery, Derek Hatton,
oh God, Ian,
and the ex-Liverpool mayor have been charged on bribery.
What a surprise!
Yes, they charged bribery and misconduct.
What a surprise!
They were named among 10 others, including Hatton's wife and Mr. Anderson's 37-year-old son, who are accused of misconduct in public office. Well, what's that all about?
Backhanders, I think.
Huh?
Backhanders for giving building approval, wasn't it? Was it planning approval to... this has been going on forever, isn't it?
Yep.
As you said, Hyams. Harry Hyams, was it? Harry Hyams? Alan?
Yeah. I can't remember. The name sounds familiar, but I can't be sure.
Well, anyway, carrying on, Mike. Moving on.
Well,
we're not really surprised about that, are we?
Well, we should be.
Why?
You know, well, it's just it's true. Well, I don't know. Everything is true. Let's have a look then. Sack staff at Sentencing Council over two-tier justice system. That's another one. Labour's Justice Secretary was urged to sack members of the Sentencing Council behind a two-tier justice plan last week. The Conservatives said that Shabana Mahmood should remove any of the 15-strong panel who refused her request to reconsider the rules due to come into force on the 1st of April. So, that's another Trumpism, isn't it? You know, if you don't accept my change,
sounds like it.
We're going to sack you.
I mean, isn't she another one that's not right for the job?
Well, who is right?
Yeah, and they're trying to deny that we've got a two-tier system. Of course we have. It's so obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, you know.
Now, what about this business about the changes? So a white straight male will get a bigger sentence than somebody that's an ethnic or of a particular religious group. You know.
Yeah.
Well, it's flung out now, hasn't it?
Well, I know what.
Well, yeah, they've been reviving it.
If ever I find myself in a position where I'm likely to be incarcerated because of a misdemeanor, which is
who's she?
Unlikely, because I'm a pretty good guy, but if ever I did, I would plead the Third Amendment and say that I was a female.
You can't say misdemeanor, can you? It's misdemeanor, isn't it?
Well, I don't know, but at any rate, for many, raising a glass after a hard-working week is a well-earned treat. But spontaneous weekend drinks carry a 26% increase risk of negative consequences such as embarrassment and hangovers. Oh, this is interesting.
Oh, is this a bit about meeting your friends after work? So your workmates, go for a social drink with your workmates after work?
Yeah.
Well,
researchers,
I never found it a problem, did you?
No, researchers followed nearly 1,000 people aged 18 to 25 over 14 weeks to capture both their planned intentions to drink and how much alcohol they actually consumed. They asked participants if they experienced the likes of hangovers, blackouts, saying or doing something embarrassing, taking foolish risks, being rude, feeling regret, or putting on weight due to drinking. I've done all of those things, haven't you?
I think most of us have, haven't we?
I mean, you
does it take research? Does it take research to find this out? And who's sponsoring that then?
Well, I don't know, because this is normally the thing, where you find out who's been sponsoring it. But the findings are in the Journal of Addictive Behaviours.
Oh, must get a copy of that.
Yeah, that would be interesting reading, isn't it?
Yeah, is that a weekly or what?
Well, it doesn't say, but the researchers at Stanford University said that the impulsive nature of unplanned drinking likely impairs on individuals' ability to regulate alcohol intake, leading to greater harm. Oh dear. I could have told him that.
Yeah, when I was in advertising, we used to have our Bible was a thing called BRAD, B-R-A-D, British Rating Data, and it listed every publication in that. I would like to get hold of a copy of that. I don't know if it's still published, to see what diverse, wonderful magazines there are out there that probably got about half a dozen subscribers or something.
I remember that encyclopedia.
Yeah, I think it was a 2-volume thing in the end.
Right, yeah.
There's a mine of information, because you had all the advertising rates and circulations and all that sort of stuff of every publication in the land.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, we do bring out some fascinating things here on the Grumpies on Spec on Saturday morning.
What else we got?
Here's another one which really is intriguing, because it's guaranteed to make even the tastiest looking apple quickly lose its appeal. Well, now experts believe that they have found a way to stop the freshly sliced fruit turning brown. And that's interesting, isn't it? Because I know, when you cut an apple up and you
goes brown, oxidization, isn't it?
Put the knife in the drawer, and you turn and look at it, and it's all sort of going brown, isn't it? But
so not all types of apple, though, is it? Some apples.
Well,
they don't all do that, do they?
Research has shone a violet LED light onto apple slices. Then, they left them for 4 days, and then compared them with slices which had simply been stored in the dark. Well, apparently the light-treated apples looked nearly as fresh as the day they were sliced, while the control slices had turned a familiar shade of brown. The scientists say the method could be developed as an alternative to chemicals to keeping fresh fruit.
Yeah, but surely the answer to that is, as everybody knows, it's a bit of lemon juice, and that's going brown.
Well, I think ultraviolet.
Everybody wants to taste the lemon juice. Though.
Ultraviolet.
Or half a teaspoonful of salt in the water. That will stop them going brown as well.
Salt on apples is very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
regarding your comment you made, Alan, about there is not a list of words which Ofcom. That's not what they said. That's not what they said yesterday on a presenter said on GB.
Well, I've just been reading Ofcom's website, and that's come off their website.
We don't believe them, do you?
Well, who do you believe?
I don't know. That's the
trouble. They say that everything is considered on an individual basis, and it depends on the context in which it's said.
Yeah. Let me tell you where this has come from, because and you will never guess this, well, you will actually, because Dr. Aid Wang of Xinjiang Agricultural University of China said, this research opens up exciting possibilities for the food industry to extend the shelf life of fresh cut food. Well. So
they're still debating whether the Wuhan, the COVID was a leak from the Wuhan lab. They still haven't actually confirmed that, have they?
Well, what is worrying even more, and I've mentioned this on the show quite frequently actually, and that is that there is a new strain coming out of China, which is in fact totally more deadlier than the COVID that we experienced during the lockdown.
Now.
And if that travels around the world and hits us all, we're going to know all about it, aren't we?
Yeah, but don't you think these are being developed as weapons, biological weapons? And the daft thing is, Americans are involved with it as well in Wuhan. American money was financing the COVID thing.
Somebody was saying the other day that in a discussion I was having about this, that we will not tolerate another lockdown in this country.
No.
And I said, well, that's all very well, but if and when it comes to the state where people are dying like they did in the Black Death, in the plagues, then we will be putting a self-imposed lockdown, because when you're not walking down the street, but if you look out the window and see dead bodies being left outside the house for collection, on a rubbish day, there will be an imposed lockdown.
I don't think we'll have another imposed lockdown.
We can't afford it.
There'd be voluntary lockdowns. I think. If the Black Death's about, I'm not going to go out for a little while.
No, the conspiracy theorists will say that.
Anyway, have you read our messages, Mike? We've had a request. Girl.
She has a big birthday on. Oh, happy birthday, Cersei, Brisbane girl.
I think we should wish Darren a big happy birthday. I think we should do
He's 25, yeah. Yeah, my son, Darren.
Well, happy birthday, Darren.
25?
Yeah. I think he's
60.
I think you've known him for longer than that, but yeah, happy birthday, Darren.
No, known him over such. Do you know we met in a car park at Dublin Airport in Goa amongst the cattle, and they just happened to be going to the same hotel as us, and we were looking for our bus. And
GJ Rudy as well, he says thanks GJ. He said that apple cider vinegar keeps food fresh as well.
Yeah,
very good for you, apple cider vinegar, isn't it?
Is it?
I suppose that's how pickling works, I suppose.
So pickling is Sarson's, isn't it? Pickling vinegar,
is it?
And it makes me laugh that it's got a use-by date on it,
Yeah.
I know. Well, they're talking about stopping all this, aren't they? Oh, there's this thing now that Tesco's are giving away food that's past its dates, aren't they? Free.
Well,
at night.
The French do that all the time. The French law, actually, that supermarkets must.
They've got yellow labels on it when it's
give away the stuff and that,
So they're accused of people going up there, to get this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, most of it's perfectly fine, is it? My wife is a great stickler for this. If it's out of date, it's got to go in the bin, and it's rubbish.
Well, there you go. Anyway, listen, we're out of date.
Yeah, aren't we?
The programme is now out of date. So I'm afraid if you missed any of it, you can listen to it again back on YouTube, because YouTube actually records the show. You listen to it at any stage you like during the day. But from all of us, we've just got to say goodbye. Have a nice weekend. We'll see you next Saturday, all being well, for another edition of The Grumpies on Spec. And, join me and Alan on Monday morning for the breakfast show here on Spectrum Air.
I'm still in bed at that time.
I'm on last. Happy birthday to Darren.
Is it the 6-0, Tina?
If you love electronic music, then you need to tune in on Saturday evenings at 8 p.m. with me, Suzanne Letting, on Let's Get It On. Each week, I am going to be bringing you brand new releases. So if that kind of music is your cup of tea, then why don't you join me Saturdays at 8pm and 9pm, repeated on Mondays at midnight and 1am, and again on Thursdays 4am to 5am. So grab that cup of tea, that cup of coffee, or even a glass of wine, and let's get lost in some music together on Let's Get It On the radio station that brings colour to the airwaves, Spectrum On Air.
Join me, Rosemarie, and my special guests for my show, Extra Time with Rosemarie, on Sundays at 1 p.m.